You're listening to Unshaken, the Hope Dealer podcast, where we rise, heal, and make no excuses. I'm your host, Jason Brooks. Let's turn trauma into truth and pain into power. Let's go. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Unshaken, the Hope Dealer podcast. Today, I have a fascinating episode with Dr. Robb Kelly. I have been so excited for this episode. I'll be honest with you. The last episode was episode 11, and I actually thought that was going to be the finale for this first season, but I was reached out to by Courtney, who is Dr. Robb Kelly's assistant, and I swear I was so surprised, but happily surprised. So with that being said, it kind of actually coincided because August 1st will be my 4-year soberversary. So I swear it was the ultimate surprise. So with that being said, I've actually extended this. So this is going to be the finale for my first season. So with that being said, I want to introduce Dr. Robb Kelly, and I'm going to let him take it away. I've been listening to some podcasts that he's done and did a little, I had not going to lie, I've been kind of fanboying, but I'm going to let him take it away. He's got a crazy story that you're going to be amazed by. So let's take it away.
Hey guys, my name is Dr. Robb Kelly here in San Antonio, Texas. As you can tell by the accent, though, I'm not from Texas. I'm from Manchester, England. We're in the addiction, stroke, alcoholism, stroke, depression, anxiety, PTSD, Alzheimer's, and dementia arena. We've been going for about 25 years, 11,000 patients, I think, up to now, with a 98% success rate. And we tend to deal with anything from addiction to entrepreneurs, podcasters who want to take it to the next level, because what we found with our program that's been ongoing now for at least 25 years here is that the power of the mind and the brain and neuroplasticity and neuroscience behind anything that we do, and that we can really achieve anything we want to achieve, whether that be $1 million a year or build a business or get your kids back or whatever it is, the mind is very powerful. So even though we're PhD psychologists and behavioral scientists, we're more neuroscience experts than anything else, because we've captured how the brain works and how the mind works inside the brain. So mind over matter, the mind actually programs the brain and what we can do. That's what the program is about. It's bettering yourself, whether that be like drugs, alcohol, or creating an empire and moving on with life and helping others. That's the foundation, really. And families as well. We include families. If the family doesn't want to come on board, we will not take the patient. So, yeah, that's what we do. We love what we do, and we do what we love.
So one thing you just said that stood out to me that is fascinating, and I think those that aren't familiar with recovery, but one thing that always blew my mind. So, like I said, 4 years ago, I hit my rock bottom and I went to rehab for my second time. And one thing that I learned is how remarkably high the failure rate is coming out of in-house rehab. And I think it's somewhere like, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but I think it's higher than like a 90% failure rate, if I'm not mistaken. And you just said 98% is your success rate. Yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah, I'll tell you how we do it. I work with movie stars and musicians right now, high profile people, and the rest of the staff, deals with the rest of the people. So I only take 4 patients on at any one time. First of all, you got to pass an assessment to get here. And that's becoming pretty tough. We don't take $1 million checks off mums or dads trying to get the kids in here. We're way past that and have been for 20 years. So you have to pass an assessment. We need to know that you're fully bought into this, firstly. Secondly, I'll try and make you fail that assessment. And thirdly is the family systems. When the family system, so let's say we take the patient as a guy, we take him on. It's a 90-day program daily, 1 hour a day. So it is telehealth or in person. The wife needs to come on board for twice a week. When we involve the family, and not most people think when you introduce the family come on like treatment center and they bash the husband. That's what you did wrong. You can't do this. It's got nothing to do with that. The family and the wife comes on board, and it's about her trauma and what she's dealt with and the PTSD she has. And what we get is many wives going, well, it's not my problem. It's his problem. I don't know why I've got to be here. And the answer is, Mrs. Johnson, is why do you let your husband come on several nights a week, drunk, get into a fist fight with you in front of your children? So just by the wives coming on board, for instance, the success rate of the alcoholic addict or depressed person or whatever it is goes up by 42% alone, right there and then. Because we take people out of houses and put them in to our outpatient, and we teach them a different language. So if I'm picking somebody out of a Chinese speaking house and I'm sticking them psychologically into our house and speak English, when we put them back in, they're going to speak Chinese again. Both houses need to be speaking the same level. Plus we have 9D breath work. Plus we have photomodulation. Plus we have all the other brain spottings and everything that we do. It's intense. So that's why we have the high success rate. And like I said, 11,000 patients down. We kind of know what we're doing. We used to offer a money back guarantee if you relapse when following us. I stand by that. My legal team says we can't, because you're always going to get one that comes that does it on purpose and says your program doesn't work. But yeah, we're pretty airtight in what we do. We're very aggressive for what we do. We're not taking shit off anybody. This is the way we do it. I don't like treatment centers. They don't like me, and I'm good with that. You know, we love what we do, man, and we know it's successful, and we're saving lives.
Gotcha. So I'm also mesmerized by the whole neuroplasticity. I'm a big fan of like Dr. Joe. And when my last rehab as well, that's when I really got into like holistics and energy healing. So my last guest was actually my Reiki master, and we talked about energy healing. And I actually go see a 7th generation shaman. Can you get into a little bit about the neuroplasticity and the power of belief? And because obviously, a lot of people get pushed into rehab by their loved ones and they're not ready. So, and like you said, that's part of the reason for the high failure rate. But a lot of people, that's what I was talking about in my last show, was a lot of people, don't believe in energy healing and things like that. But can you talk a little bit about that?
So the mind is more powerful than you could ever imagine, guys, ever imagine. So here's where the treatment centers or the treatment industry falls down is right now, Jason, we can call 10 treatment centers up, and they won't ask us what's going on. They'll just ask for our insurance details, and they run that first of all. And we can both go to treatment right now. That doesn't work here. We don't believe in psych meds. We don't believe in Adderall. We don't believe in a lot of things. What most people do when they come here is they tell us what they're going through, and they say, I'm very, very depressed, doc. And we say, okay, so you're depressed, you take depression meds? Yeah, we do. We take blah, blah. How long have you been taking them? About 5 years now. When the fuck did you think it's going to kick in? Because it hasn't kicked in yet. So then we have to go to the power of the mind. Most alcoholics have 3 parts of the brain that differ: the hypothalamus, basal ganglia, and the amygdala to any other brain in the world. When the hypothalamus takes over the brain during the drinking career, it hijacks the brain and tells it to drink alcohol only to survive. That's why it's a disease. Everything else is de minimis at the time. Drug addiction is the addictive personality, just as strong, just as crazy. But the only thing we find out is 90% of people that come to us start in the doctor's office when it comes to drug addiction. So how powerful is the mind? Well, it tells itself the mind over matter. The mind can run the brain. So the subconscious brain wakes up in the morning. So we need to repattern thought ways that repattern behaviors and repattern what we say, both internally, self-dialogue, and also out. If you don't change the patterns, if you don't go back to the gateway drug, which is childhood trauma, then you're going to relapse, or you're not going to be successful, and all this stuff that goes with it. Anybody can do anything that you want to do. And the first thing when I came over here, when I said that to people, they go, hey, yeah, but I can't be president of the United States. Let's forget their political views. I don't give a shit about politics. They've not done nothing for me. But we had a freaking business and ran the country for 4 years. Don't dare tell me. No political experience. Don't dare tell me you can't achieve your dreams. It's just not true. And it's been proven time and time and time again that the power of the mind can take you anywhere. The power of mind can cure stuff in the body. We can cure addiction, depression. We can't cure alcoholism because of the hypothalamus. That's why it's a disease. So there's no cure for alcoholism. There's no cure for the common cold or food poisoning. So people don't get freaked out as much. It's like powerful how we can train our mind. And literally the things you can achieve, but then we stick the rest in. Like, what about yoga? Love it. What about Reiki? Love it. Any healing that doesn't include a pharmaceutical company is great in my industry. And again, we've proved it time and time again. Like, people coming in, they go, what's the first thing we do, guys? I feel depressed. We go to the doctor.
Mm.
I feel depressed. Okay, take this medication. Oh, doctor, you're not asking how my diet is or my exercise routine or work or you're just going to give me a prescription. What he's giving you is a false serotonin. The definition of the medical USA dictionary of serotonin, depression, lack of serotonin. So our take on that is why we're not asking why my serotonin is low in the first place before I go somewhere for psych. Now, if you're taking heart medicine, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about so many drugs for so many so-called illnesses. Like, I've got ADHD. What does that mean? I've got attention deficit. ADHD is not a deficit, it's an overload. I don't know where you're getting this deficit from. So we have kids who can't sit still in class, can't concentrate, and then we give them amphetamines on top of that. That's the stuff we're up against. So you got to intriguingly know what the brain and the mind is doing at all times to live your best life.
Absolutely. So I was watching one of your podcasts that you were on, and I think it was, I don't remember his last name, but his first name was Ian. And I heard your story, and I often talk about my story, of course, and I'm 50 this year, right? And when I first started my addiction, I was 18, so I was an addict for 30 years. I'm curious for you to kind of share your story, because I was blown away, because obviously the story that you have, like the story that I have, it's more impactful for my story because it allows me to tell people, look, I was this for 30 years. And for me personally, I was a major cokehead, alcoholic too, but mainly more cokehead, right? For 30 years. So it's impactful for me to be able to go back and tell people, look, this is what I did for this many years. If I can do it, you can. Now, despite my story, when I heard your story, I was like, wow. So with what you did and what you've accomplished, people hear that. It's like, if Dr. Robb can do that, anything can be accomplished. Like the people you've known and the experiences you've had, it just blew my mind. Can you share a little bit about that? Like where you come from, the age and things like that. I just would love my big audience that I'm going to have to hear some of that.
So I was born on the projects. We call them the council estates, very low, poor family. Dad dug the roads to lay the gas pipes down, and my mum cleaned other people's houses. Never a lot of money around, but lots of love around. That's where it started. So I started in a very rough area where you either got beaten up or you learn how to fight real quick. So I was into bodybuilding and fighting, bare knuckle fighting I loved with the gypsies and stuff. So I could take care of myself like most of the guys who grew up on where we grew up. Like I say, took my first drink at 9 on stage with my musical family. So we have musicians throughout our family. I was blessed enough to get the musical gene, if you want to call it that. So age 9, I'm on stage playing in nightclubs and bars with my auntie and uncle. That's where I took my first drink because I was scared. They played this huge club and there was too many people and I freaked out. And my uncle said, take a beer. I drank the beer and the whole world changed right there and then. So I thought that was it. All through high school, I was lucky from contact to have contact to go to college. And the drinking was most days now. Got married, had 2 beautiful children. A lot of bad stuff happened in the house. I stabbed my wife 3 times one night because she wouldn't let me finish my bottle of vodka. I'd leave kids in cinemas while I went for a drink because I just needed alcohol. I mean, just crazy things that happened to me. And I have one of them minds that I'm all in or I'm all out.
Yeah.
Like you're either pregnant or you're not. I don't do things hard. I'm either going to do it to the best in the world or I ain't going to touch. I've never played basketball. Hey, do you want to come basketball? No, I've never played. Well, come and learn. No, I'm good because I know I can't conquer it. So that mindset has a lot to play with the story. And as I got married, I thought that would calm me down drinking. No, first child, no, second child, no. And in the end, everything went, the girls were taken off me, ages 1 and 3, my wife left. And shortly after that, I went to my parents to friends to acquaintances, and then finally hit the streets. When I was about 25, 26 maybe, and I'm useless with time. I remember the first night on the street going, holy shit, what just happened? Still under the impression that if I went back tomorrow, back to the wife, she'll be okay. She always is.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. And every time I stepped on the premises, she'd call the police. Same with my parents and everything. So I became abandoned, very big word, abandoned on the streets of Manchester, England. And there I stayed, fighting every day to survive. I don't mean survive. I mean, really keep your life. Guy next to me one night was stabbed to death for his sneakers, and I come from the project. So I love fighting. So I became quite comfortable on the streets. But after you die twice on the streets and they bring you back to life, I don't think there's anywhere else to go, And I was content with dying on the streets. I was content with everything. I had no worries about no mortgage. All that stuff was lifted off me.
Yeah.
But the pain of my two daughters, it was pain that unless you're a father or a mother, obviously, you cannot even fathom that part. The last thing my daughter said to me, age 3 or 4, was, Daddy, please stop drinking. And I couldn't do it. So I was in this world of violence. I was in this world of passing out and coming to the next day. And it was just hiding under bushes, sleeping in hospitals under where they keep all the crates, just anywhere I could to survive, beat people up to get money for alcohol, steal alcohol. All this stuff was going on. And I didn't think I had a problem, Jason. I never thought I had a problem until about 14 months on the streets I was before I fully realized that, hey, and it shook me to the core. I broke down and stuff and realized I couldn't stop drinking. And it took all of that for me to be in a place to go, shit, I can't control this anymore. And that was just me being pig-headed or, alcohol's not going to beat me kind of thing. And there I lay, and again, lots of bad stuff happened on the streets. Lots of bad stuff happened before the streets. I mean, lots of stuff went wrong. I'm trying to hold his family together, but the more money I earned, the more it masked my alcoholism.
Yeah.
And so one day it was all gone.
Yeah. So they always talk about everybody has a different rock bottom. So that when I was listening to that podcast and what you just mentioned about like the stabbing, and I know you had mentioned about different groups, or I think you mentioned that you played with like Bowie, and you might have even mentioned like Oasis, and but like the stabbing part really jumped out at me because the whole, like I said, everybody has a different rock bottom, and the fact that that wasn't your rock bottom, and I've had rock bottoms where I look back and I'm like, I can't believe that wasn't my rock bottom, and then it took other things that have happened in my life that was worse that I've been through before it finally took something. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and we know the neuroscience behind that, but at the time we didn't know. But yeah, I mean, it's just when you think you've gone the lowest, you go one more, and then a run more, until you're doing things that you didn't even think was humanly possible to stay alive. But yeah, I played with, I knew the Oasis guys growing up. I never played with them, but I've done session work at Abbey Road Studio with Elton John, David Bowie, Queen, Freddie Mercury, all them great guys that I did. The money from that put me through college. I could never afford college. So they were great days. And also the days when I got introduced to cocaine, because most of the sessions that I was needed for was in the middle of the night when nobody was around. So the musicians could come and go without huge fans destroying the front of Abbey Road. So yeah, again, the mask of. But I had 7 interviews for that position, 7 auditions. And I was drunk the final audition, but I passed it, which told me that when I drink alcohol, I'm absolutely amazing. So, keep going. But yeah, it masked a lot. I look back now and think, what great days they were, but I didn't know they were great days back then.
Yeah.
How blessed and lucky, actually, even in a studio with these guys. But everything was just blacked out. I mean, I hear people sometimes, say, I blacked out overnight, and I will black out for months. Like I wake up in Spain or Switzerland or something like that, not knowing how I got there. They were my blackouts. And for those people who don't know what a blackout is, it's not as in you go unconscious and stay there. It's like you fully function in a world that you will never remember again. Yeah. And we are very high performers. I remember one day, there's a Irish football in England, played the Premiership. He was called George Best, one of the greats of all times. I was getting on a plane apparently, and I was that drunk they wouldn't let me on the plane. And this is back in the, I don't know, early 80s, I think. They won't let me on the plane as a student. I convinced them that I was George Best's brother. Okay. And they allowed me on the plane. George Best doesn't even have a brother. But I convinced him that much during this blackout that I actually flew to Spain with them and everything was good. I mean, it's dangerous because you can't remember what you did. And there's nothing worse the next morning going, holy shit, what did I do last night? It's horrible. That horrible feeling in the morning knowing that you can't remember anything for the last 3 days is soul destroying.
Gotcha. When did you actually come to the States?
I came 20 years ago for 2 weeks only. I was doing a seminar for a huge church in Plano. And I was working with the youth ministry, giving groups and talks and conferences to them for 2 weeks only. 2 weeks worth of clothes, 2 weeks worth of money. I had about £100 in my pocket and probably £40 in the bank. And the moment I stepped off the plane at DFW, I knew quite well I'd never go back home to live. And it was the strangest thing. So after the 2 weeks was over, the lady from my church, I moved in with her. She was awesome. And then after about 4 or 5 weeks of being here, I got an offer from a production company to do these DVD things. And I think I got paid $120,000, 19 years ago or something. So it set me up. I applied for my green card. I got that. And my citizenship, I got that. So that's how I started here. It was the craziest way. But ever since of having that huge spiritual awakening, I always talk about John, my life has been like that. It's like all the suffering I went through now becomes my greatest asset. If I don't give a shit what diplomas you have on the back, from what schools you have on the back, if you haven't suffered what I'm going through, you can't help me. I don't care. You don't know how I think. And when it comes to alcohol and drugs, I am warped as the worst person. Like if you was to hide alcohol, I would stab you repeatedly in the face and tell a stolen. I mean, it's crazy thinking, but I was insane. So I think it takes. If a counselor came to me and wanted to help me with no experience, drug and alcohol, personally, he couldn't help me. I would not even expect him to. I think the great thing about this journey, and you'll agree, Jason, as well, is like what we've been through, for me anyway, I had to go through to be the person I am today, to go on and help others. I mean, I never saw my kids after that day when the authorities took them. It was the most painful thing I've ever gone through. Stood at that door, having them for 2 days, blacks out. They weren't changed diapers or fed. I nearly killed them babies.
Yeah.
And the police kicked the door down and took him. The feeling was absolutely gut-wrenching, horrible. But it didn't stop me drinking.
Absolutely. Let me ask you something. So, absolutely love talking to someone that's been through similar experiences. Do you ever feel like I said, I was caught in active addiction for 30 years. Do you ever feel like you ever stuck in a time warp? And what I mean by that is I often feel like I'm still in my 20s, my mindset. Am I the only one that ever feels that way? Because the reason I say that is you have that certain swag, that podcast I seen, I still dress, I feel like I've got that swag. I don't, I'm 50. Other people that I see that are 50, 55, I mean, they look like they're 50, they're 55. They don't have that swag. Do you ever feel that way?
Yeah. It's crazy how the brain works, because what happens is a myth going around that alcohol kills brain cells, and that's just not true. It's a myth. So what happens is the brain cells and the pathways go gray, like a grayish area, because alcohol has taken over. But when we fully recover from the addiction and alcoholism side, we go back to thought patterns as if we were 13, 14, 50. I dress like a 25-year-old and I'm 64. I drive expensively ridiculous cars that I shouldn't be driving, stuff like that. I do all this stuff. I got pink trousers on with blue shoes. I'm being nice today. I got a t-shirt on because I have free podcasts. Yeah. But usually, the biggest thing that we have in life, and I love you said that, Jason, is I don't give a shit what people think about me. And the quicker you do that, you start to live better. You cleared all the trauma and you feel young, you act young, you are young despite your age. And it takes on a new meaning. And people are inspired by that. I usually wear crazy glasses. I don't know. I try and match my pants and everything, but I've started to wear crazy glasses. And the only reason why is it's a talking point.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love your glasses. Oh, thank you. Oh my God, you're from England. What are you doing here? Oh my God, my uncle's an alcoholic. It just, it's people. I found out that most people are in a bad place or they're going through something. So communicating and helping and, stuff like that is big on my agenda. So I do it every single day. But I think not giving a shit about people thinking that is very, very powerful once you find your true identity. Most people's identity is lost in work or a marriage or a relationship. And when that's taken away, we're left with no ID. We're left with like, oh God, what do we do now? And it's like, that's not the way a human being is supposed to work. First of all, we're not supposed to sit down. So we're on our ass most of the day. Secondly, our thought patterns get old. We look at other people and like, he's 64, geez, and he looks 94. And I'm like, do I look like that? Am I like that? And then I'm reminded by people around me, shit, no, you're not like that. So I think just like you, it's like, I don't shove my wealth in anybody's face. But what I tell people is I live how I live and I live out loud and this is who I am. And if you're jealous about, the cars and all that stuff, it's like, you can do what I do. You see, everybody's jealous about what I have, but nobody's jealous how I got here. And that's the key. The price we've paid in the past. Only 4 years ago, after 30 years, did my daughter get in contact with me. After all that time, these are the prices we pay, man. These are the dues we pay for suffering from this illness that I would not wish on my worst enemy in the world. But then it becomes an asset going forward. Like my homeless days were like a semester at Harvard University. The knowledge I got there.
Gotcha. So going back to energy healing and so forth. So like I said, I see a Reiki master and have a 7th generation shaman. And 2 different occasions, a year apart, they both said that they saw trauma when I was 8 or 9, right? And I still honestly have no recollection of that. So me and my shaman, we're starting to do, shadow work, cord cutting and things like that. And I've been seeing her for about 3 years now. And we've been doing a lot of work. And I'm just now growing into that part of me where I just don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Like I said, like I told you before, my full-time job is actually as mortgages, right? And I've got my nose ring, I've got my tats, and this is how I look on a day-to-day basis, right? And I don't lose business. People like my authenticity. So I'm with you 100%. How long? So you didn't just wake up one day and say, neuroplasticity, this is my method. What got you and said, this is the way that it's done?
Wow. No one's ever asked me that question. Thank you for that, Jason.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah. Everything I touched when I was a kid turned to gold. Everything I touched as a teenager and 23 turned to gold every time, apart from alcohol. Here's where it started. I think I was homeless. I'm not sure. I'm stood outside a liquor store. See, I couldn't understand why nobody could help me. My medical doctors go to AA. AA was talking shit and I never got anything. I kept relapsing, thought it was me. So I'm in this part where there's more to it. I'm outside a liquor store at 5:30 a.m. He does not supposed to open legally until 10 a.m. This guy knows me, Pakistani man, beautiful guy. And 5:30, he comes to the door in his dressing gown. He opened the door to let me in. I truly believe that it was a God thing from what happened because it changed my way of looking. We were talking about neuroplasticity 25 years ago and people thought they were crazy. I went in shaking and like, I couldn't really talk because I know quite well if I don't get alcohol or hospital, I'm probably going to die right where I am. It's not bad, And I put my hand down and he put the bottle of vodka on and this is what happened. Shaking stop, mood change, sweating stop, in a great mood, fantastic. And I looked at the bottle unopened and I looked back at the shopkeeper and I looked back at the bottle. I went, fuck me, it's not the alcohol. That's where it started for me. It's like, oh my God, it's not the alcohol. So now we know that alcohol has 1% to do and everything else drugs, 1% do with what's really going on. And it was that set me on this journey that the mind is so deep and the brain we don't know nothing about, especially when it comes to psych. So I threw myself in before internet, it's the libraries and tests and I've spent over $1 million on research, tests and trials. to make sure that what we're teaching is proven when it comes to neuroscience and quantum physics, and a bit of epigenetics as well. But yeah, I just knew there was something more, Jason. I knew that being told, why don't you stop drinking? Why can't you stop drinking for your kids? I just knew there was something there that wasn't found yet. And I was on a mission, first of all, angrily, because I'm pissed at the medical doctors that nobody could tell what was wrong. And then the meetings I went to was bullshit. I also sat drinking coffee and no one's looking at that book. That is genius, by the way, guys. So yeah, that's how I got into aggressively researching what's going on. And the funny thing is, Jason, that when I came over here 20 years ago and decided to stay in practice, after about 6 months in practice, they stripped me of my license to practice because he said I was doing harm to others and I was making this woo-woo stuff up that wasn't true. It's funny how I lecture to those guys today, but that's by the by. It's like I knew we got our license back 6 months later, and ever since we've been changing the world. You know, and that's how we only deal with people that are. So when Courtney goes out, we turn 14, 15 podcasts down a month. Not interested. But when she goes out, Jason, she finds somebody like you who's changing the world, who's doing this for the right reason. We don't care if you got one follower or a million. It makes no difference. Can we change a life today on here? Not sell shit.
Yeah.
Not sell. Please, no. In fact, I have a book out there. If you text me or Jason, I'm going to send it to you free, sign it, everything. It's not about selling shit. It's about helping somebody say that here's this and go, you know, something that makes sense. I just might try that today.
That's awesome. So I've gotten to this stage lately where I look back and I see my life has definitely moved in stages. And like I said, this last stint I did in rehab, that's where I really got into like energy healing. And I think back like 4 or 5 years ago when I hit my rock bottom, and I think back, and I tell people this often, and I'm like, the old Jason would look at me now and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like, he would just look at me and think like, wouldn't believe the Jason that I am now, because I probably, and I don't know what you think about this, but I probably have 200 crystals. Like, I'm wearing citrine. Like, you know, I'm just, the old Jason would think I'm just out there. It's just crazy how your life can just go in stages. But with that being said, like, I feel like my first 46 years was one Jason, and I'm just a completely different person now. Is that how you have looked at your life, like different stages? Obviously.
I'm a true believer in this, that the mind is very powerful, but it's energy. You can't see it, touch it, feel it. When it connects with another source that's not human, and we have the neuroplasticity change, neural pathway change, our DNA changes, we're the only people that get 2 lives in one lifetime. So 100%, it's like I can go back and help people on the projects where I was born. I just can't live there anymore. And that was the difference. What am I going to do with this second life? Am I going to repeat history, or am I going to change the world? And my second life has been absolutely amazing. And I'm not being told by anybody that I can't live it. I'm not being told I can't do stuff. My answer to all them people is says who? Or you can't, says who? You know, I came over here, I've stormed it. We've earned a lot of money, a lot of fame, but keep your feet in the trenches. And this second life will be amazing. Yeah. So, like I say, we do a lot of giving back, a lot of money given back every single year back into communities around America and England to help people. And I'll be honest with you guys right now, if I may. When I first had my first million, and I was speaking on radio shows, and I got to TV shows. I had a show in Dallas, a syndicated show for like 11 million. I was on there 3 times a week, and you're flying on private jets, and you can afford that 911, and you can afford that big house. Sometimes your ego can get hold of you, you know, and there's been a few occasions where it did. Now, I'm married to a beautiful woman and have been for 10 years. And one of the very first big deals we got was working with this huge movie star who got me onto a program. And we had to fly to Hollywood, and we did the Paramount Studio. We recorded it in there. And they'd flown us in privately. They'd put us in this huge, great, fantastic suite in a hotel. We did that. We went on, I stormed it, everyone was standing, clapping. And I come off, and I don't know why, but I came off and I said to my wife, "Where's my chauffeur? I'm ready to go." Now, my wife is an educated, quiet country girl, and she slapped me across the face. And she said, "If I ever hear you speak like that again, this marriage is over."
Mm.
So I make sure that I get surrounded by those people today so I can live freely and give freely and have this crazy, unbelievably undreamt life that I would never in my wildest dreams think I can have. And I think that's what's pushing the envelope, is once you find out that this is open to everybody and you can't be kind of reborn, and all this woo-woo stuff out there like shamans and that is all real. Once you come away from the pharmaceutical drugs, you find out that most of the psych, if not all of the psych problems, can be done without any kind of medication. Then you start to see the world for what it is. And somebody who's been through what we've been through, Jason, who has found their identity, who's had that change of patterns in the brain, we become very dangerous people. I don't mind telling you, because I signed an office deal in Dallas some years ago for $1 million over 10, I don't know what it was, 20 years. So, and my friend said to me, "Rob, how do you sleep at night? How do you set that contract?" And my answer was simple. What can they do to me that I haven't already done to myself? What are they going to do? Take the office of me? Well, I'm going to try this. What are they going to do? What's the worst can happen? There's nothing that's going to happen that hasn't somehow happened before. So I'm going to take chances. I'm going to do crazy businesses. I'm going to go out there and be the loudmouth of addiction. I'm going to do that because when God says I've had enough, I'll have enough. But I can tell you right now, and when I'm 100 years old, I'll still be teaching this stuff and still be helping people because that's the foundation. And I think that keeps us young. The second life we had keeps us young and young thinking. My ideal audience, I'm 64 years old, and the people I get on well, especially in work, is ages of between 18 and 23. They're the guys that we really get on really well, because when I look at guys my age, they're like they've given up, man. It's worse when you go back to England. You've got the same friends in the same old bars talking the same old shit. The wife's this, the wife's that, the kids are this, the kid. There's a huge world out there, guys. And I want a piece of that. It's not much to ask,
Yeah. So let's go back to like recovery centers. One of the things that surprised me, I guess I shouldn't say surprise, but was how much it was about the money and the insurance. Like I swear they piss test us. Like it seemed like 10 times a day. It wasn't that much, but I'm exaggerating. And then I realized one of the people that worked there told me that literally the insurance company paid them per piss test. And that's when I realized it was all about the money. It wasn't about the success rates. That's really all they cared about. So just hearing you talk about your center, your recovery, the work you do, that stands out like head and shoulders above that. So, I imagine people are opening up recovery centers every day just to be getting paid from these insurance places, which is probably not much different than, big pharma just pushing drugs to the clinics and the doctors. Just they're legal drug dealers essentially.
I love that as well. Yeah, there's a success rate of 3 to 5% out there with treatment centers, and the reason is they're scammers and they're after money. 90% are, in my opinion, of 64 years on this earth. Now there are some great, absolutely great ones that we love, absolutely love, but 90% are not. When you're taking little Johnny into your treatment center for the third time and still charging him 30 grand a month, shame on you. You need to get out of this industry because you're giving the industry a bad name. When you can call a treatment center and we can pick it out the phone book, and the first thing they ask for is, "Oh, can I just check your insurance? There's something wrong." We don't even talk about money until you've had your assessment. All we say is it's expensive. We don't take insurance, but if it doesn't work, I'll give you your money back. Now, my wife's going to kill me for saying that, but that's the attitude we have. Why are you killing people, guys? "Oh, little Johnny, he died last week. We did the best we can. He just wasn't ready to come back for another 30 days. How many people have you killed with that line? How do you sleep at night? But this is just me because I've seen so many deaths. I've seen so many people die from lack of knowledge of this stuff. I just following and all of a sudden they're not there anymore. Most of the people that we did research on that come back from alcoholic poison, as in death or overdose, said one thing: I didn't use or drink that much that night. It's like it's not about that. It's like we keep pushing that envelope, and when people stand up like myself and don't tag myself with alcoholic or addict and nothing like that, and we do work for the right reason, God's blessed and monitor it more than we could ever, more than we can steal off people, that's for sure. So I think authenticity, which we did our own tests on, the highest form of humanity is authenticity, being honest, being upfront, but being aggressive about it. Really, people trust us. Now, we're not over the internet or TV anymore. I've pulled away from that. We're the guys in the corner that gets referred to. Very rarely, if you call, will we take you on. You have to have a reference or be referred by somebody because we're not in it for the money. And people don't believe that. It's like we turn so many people down, or 25% of our work is pro bono. I think I've told you that. Every person in my offices has to carry a pro bono. Veterans in San Antonio don't pay. If you've got PTSD and you're suffering, because I disgrace, by the way, the country have treated the veterans free of charge. Me and my wife give about $150,000 back into the communities. All this stuff is very important. And I know I'm mentioning money. Oh, look at image money. Fuck the money. Can we get you well? And if we can't help you. I don't give a shit how rich your parent. We cannot help you. And all my stuff are like that. I wanted somebody to explain to my parents why I did what I did, man. I wanted somebody to say to my parents, hey, it's not his fault. He's got this illness and it's incurable, but nobody did. And we want to be those guys, mums and dads. We have an office. At the end of our offices, my wife usually mans it. It's a phone number that you call and say that you're a parent, and we will spend hours on the phone. We will spend weeks on the phone with you, educate what's going on. We will never charge you a dime for that. This is what I call by giving back, is people do not have the right information about what we're going through to do anything about it. And I'm the guy that stands up. Now, I was doing this years ago, and I'd get behind the scenes threatened, and who does he think he is? And nobody steps in front of me and says that, because I'm a very powerful person in more ways than one. And I don't give a shit what you think. I care what you think about me? Sat in your mum's fucking spare room after 3 marriages and the kids don't. You think I'm going to give a shit about what you think about me? I don't think so. So you can keep your opinions to yourself. We are what we are. And we do it very successfully, but I don't forget where I've come from. We have a sliding scale. We hate to turn people away unless you're not ready, and we'll turn you away. You've given up on people. No, they give up on themselves. How bad do you want this? And if the answer is, nah, we're not you guys. If the answer, well, I'm here for my pet, we're not you guys. We're hardcore. If you get through this program, you're already amazing person. Because it's hard. It really is. But we're not messing here, and we're trying to spread this world. Every famous person, and there are thousands of household names that we've worked with, and we say, would you just come out and say something for the general public that, no, I can't, the movies will be cancelled, I can't. So everyone's still in the closet with that. But I'm up there, man. I'm up there with the loudest mouth saying the loudest things. And I found out, Jay, there's 2 kinds of people in this world. The people that love you for who you are, and the people that want to be you. And that's right. It. That's all there is. And the quicker you find out about that and surround yourself with people that lift you up, not put you down, even if it's sarcastic, get rid of those guys, the better your life will become.
I agree 100%. One thing that I absolutely love that you just said, and you're in Texas, right? Okay. So I'm not sure how close you are to a military base, but I love that you just said about the military, because I was born and raised in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and I live in Southern Pines, Pinehurst, and I'm about 30 minutes away from Fort Bragg.
Yes.
So, which is one of the main bases in the U.S. And I often I'm reached out to from, I do mortgages, so I work with a lot of real estate agents, military spouses. So I get messages, messenger or texts from spouses a lot. that their husbands, loved ones, they can't find help from the VA, from the military.
Yeah.
And it's horrible the way they're treated,
Yeah.
and they come back, they're dealing with PTSD and they're just getting oxys and Percocets just, prescribed over and over and over. And these guys are getting hooked and they can't break away. And it's just horrible. These guys go and risk their lives. And it's just horrible. So I love the fact that you mentioned that, because these guys are defending our country. There needs to be a priority.
100%, man. There are more abandoned houses than there are veterans on the street. That's an easy fix. Nobody wants to do it. You fought for. I was American 8 years ago. I took it very serious when I became an American. You fought for my freedom. How dare we treat you like? How dare I charge a dime for you to come here? We're 20. So me, it's a military city. We're 20 minutes away. We go there. We talk to them. I give speeches to PTSD guys. We bring them over. We do we've got this subliminal messaging stuff. We got photo modulation stuff. We've got all the new science to fix these guys. But if anybody, and again, thank you for your service. Anybody that's defended our country, I have the biggest heart. I will go fucking broke from serving you than myself. And I think if more people thought that way, I was in the car the other day with a friend of mine, and I stopped at the signal lights, and the guy there, we had military stuff on, and I gave him $100 or something, and he was thankful. I asked him where he served, and he was 100%, man. He was the real deal. And when I drove away, my friend said to me, "You know what he's going to do with that money, don't you?" And I said, "Well, first of all, I hope he's going to buy drugs or alcohol with it. And secondly, that is none of my business. What he does with it, why would you ask a question like that?" Yeah. And I think when you do stuff like that, it's giving. But people can't monitor you. I'm blessed enough to can, so I do. But time with you will never see me walk past a guy on the street who is homeless and not sit down next to him. You will never see that. Does that get on Facebook? No, it doesn't. That's my private shit that we do because we have a heart for each other. And I think we need to look at humanity. We need to look at the people. The reason I get to go to the beach next week is because of the guys that serve, people like you. That's the only reason I go. I won't be living this life if it wasn't for you guys. And I'm just really passionate about that, Jason. I have, I don't understand how we can just abandon those guys, man. It's just not on my watch. It just doesn't happen.
Absolutely. A couple more things I wanted to get your opinion on. What do you think about like plant-based things? Like I was talking to somebody recently about, I've been curious about this, like DMT. What are your opinions on things like that? The people that go travel to like Costa Rica to do like shadow work and cord cutting. Are you familiar with that?
A little bit. My take on this is everything I give advice or talk about is based on research and test and trials of our own. I don't think there's enough research around right now, serious research, but I think anything that takes you to a different place when it comes to peace is amazing. The Ibourgine and stuff like that, people criticize that. There's not enough research for me to criticize, but I've seen some people come back, change people, man. I've also seen people come back worse. And I think it's where your state of mind is when you go there. I am against the medical fraternity. Third biggest killing, by the way. What's the third biggest killer of a human being in the world is the medical fraternity. So I'm kind of against those guys, unless you've got lung cancer, stuff like that, obviously. I'm all for alternative medicine, and I think when we open ourselves up to that, the more we'll find out about all this new stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that's out there that you think is woo-woo, even starting with our food. So the food industry gets you sick. The pharmaceutical companies keep you sick. We need to look at alternative medicine to be able to be 100% at our best.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've been interested in, curious, but also a little bit worried about, because I know that I have put in a ton of work. They do talk about like DMT. I can't think of the other one, but for addiction and so forth. But that is my worry that, I fix what's not broken, because I have done such work, and I'm at the point where I'm never going to have a drink or I'm never going to have a drug. I mean, all my tattoos, I'm covered with tattoos, and they're most of them are like my sobriety dates and so forth. So I don't plan on ever going back. But my worry is, when I do that, if I ever did that, it would be to go back and do trauma work. But what if I did something that made me go the wrong direction? So that's definitely that would always be my worry.
I think once the mind is trained and the recircuits, like quiz, trivia, there's 300 neural pathways die every day in the brain. Yeah. What are you replacing them with? I think once you understand and go through that, I think anything else would enhance, because everything is about the mind. Everything is about what's in the mind. Is there stuff there that doesn't come out? A lot of stuff that we use exaggerates what we have. So if we're going there for trauma, we might use some stuff, wherever it is, and dosing or whatever, that will bring that trauma up quickly. It's amazing. But I think people that go back, that's not worked on the trauma, not had brain reprogramming, the hypothalamus basal ganglia repaired, I think it's dangerous to go back and do that, because you're not fully cured from that addiction. So that could take you back. But without going through your childhood trauma, you will never achieve what you want to achieve in life. Because most people walk around about 55% of their capability capacity. That's it. They don't understand how they can't be a father, run a multi-billion-dollar company, be successful, find a girl, they don't understand, and they don't think they're worthy of that. So most people think if you really got them in a room, there's never going to be blonde enough, tall enough, rich enough, or thin enough, because that's ingrained from our childhood with either parents, caregivers, teachers that tell us stuff that we keep on hold of in the subconscious brain through our adult life. So our behavior and our limited beliefs are directly based on childhood trauma that we've gone through. And again, I don't mean the car crashes, the airplane. No, deep trauma that was normalized by those people back then, and you were punished if you ever brought it up. So once you normalize a trauma, we take that on board. It was normal. It's just what we go through. 3 generations of being molested is good, because that's just the way it happened. I'm going to put that in the past. If you don't do a serious work around that, it's one of the reasons you can't keep a job, you can't keep relationships, you never earn a period money, you can't get married. All the stuff that you're going through is directly correlation with that. Unless you start to believe that, you'll never heal, man. This isn't about drugs, alcohol. It's not about, are you healed as a human being? Have you stopped giving a shit what people think about you? Have you found your true identity and your niche in life, or what you're supposed to do on this earth? Only there is where the magic happens. The rest is a struggle, man. Oh God, it's work. Listen, here's the internal dialogue from guys, a few patients that come in here. Oh my God, I got work tomorrow. Oh my God, I got to pick the kids up. Dude, you get to have work tomorrow. You get to pick the freaking kids up. Do you know how many people I know that parents that haven't got children or can't have children, who would give their legs completely off to have children to take to school? And as human beings, we get complacent. So when we believe in stuff, when we believe in yogas, which I do every single week, massages, being good to yourself, being kind, stone, whatever it is that you believe in can enhance your life, as long as you fully understand it and you fully understand what you're getting into. When you're authentic with another. So again, authenticity, how do we know? So we got, I think it was 10 people we got in a room. And the idea was, come to our offices, you're going to drink coffee or juice, whatever, you're going to chat to another 9 people, and then you leave, we'll give you $100. It was easy to get people in. So we got them all in, wired up, chest and head. And we were monitoring the feelings and all that stuff, the temperature and the heartbeat. What they didn't know is we had 2 surgeons, 2 mechanics, 2 road sweepers. So we matched them up. So when a surgeon was speaking to a road mechanic who was nervous about speaking to a surgeon, it went up by 4 or 5%. When a surgeon spoke to a surgeon, it went up to about 45%. But when a mechanic spoke to a surgeon, but they were both being authentic with each other, it spiked to 100%. Authenticity is the best form of life communication, love, and everything like that. Unfortunately, we live in a world that's not real. We live in an online world that's not real. We live where kids text themselves across the dinner table. We live in that world where we've lost our communication skills, we've lost our social skills, and it's all in this thing. Well, take away your phone for a day. Who are you?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things is I think people in recovery are absolutely the most beautiful people in the world, and people that we call normies may not agree or may not understand, but just hearing your story, and I know my story, I wasn't born with a silver spoon, but a lot of people are. And then they think their life is wonderful. And then the first time something happens, I get people that call me every day. They say, "Oh my God, I'm 2 months behind on my mortgage. They're freaking out. Can you help me?" Because they've never experienced anything difficult in their life.
Yeah.
I've lost probably $1 million in my life. I owned a mortgage company back in 2008 when the mortgage industry collapsed here. I lost everything. I lost my entire 401k. I lost my house. But you know what?
Yeah.
Build it back up. I've lost everything. I've gained it back. We know how to succeed, right? So your story is amazing, right? I just think people in recovery are the most versatile. How to pick themselves up. I mean, do you agree?
I think people who've been through what we've been through become very relentless. I think people that has gone through what we've been through knows pain, knows shame, knows guilt, and all that stuff. I think I don't trust people that haven't been through what we've been through, to be honest, Jason. Same as you, I was born into a poor family on the project, and I think it builds character. And I think the character can tell. I walked out on my wife because of second wife in Dallas, Texas, 10 years ago, or maybe 11 years ago. I left everything to her, the ranches, everything to her. I got on a bus and I drove to the center of Dallas with about $45 in my pocket. I stayed at a homeless shelter for 6 months, best 6 months of my life, by the way, sleeping on the floor. And I rebuilt because there's enough money out there, it's 2025. So we'll take normal people into insanity when 4 months mortgage going to threaten. No, we're resilient, right? We have 2 lives in one lifetime. Like it takes a lot to shake us because we've been on the other side, man. I mean, I didn't go to hell when I was on the streets, but you know something, Jason? I could sure see it from where I was.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Robb, it's been awesome having you today. You have been wonderful. I'm so grateful to have had you on here today. I'd love to have you on here again sometime. Can you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you if they want to get some more information about your centers or?
Sure. If you're listening, guys, not watching, I spell my name with 2 B's, ROBBKELLY.com is the website. Dr. Robb Kelly in any search engine, up will pop. You'll see Breathbox there. That's my company. You'll see the Old English Tea Shop. That's my restaurant. So if you can trace up, that's me. And I want to say 2 things, guys, before we wrap up. It's very important to me. Is first of all, I have a book out there called Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. By the way, that girl got in touch 4 years ago. I went over to see her and she introduced me to my 3-month-old granddaughter. She's now my lead therapist in my Manchester office. So there's a book out there. Please don't go to Amazon and buy it. We don't see it anyway normally. But contact the show. Contact Jason. Come and contact me. Hey, I want a free book. I'll sign it, pay the post. I'll send it you free. I'll do all that stuff. Just to so when you finish with it, give it to somebody else who will benefit. That's all we ask of you. And I think one of the most important things, because I knew Jason, you're a cool guy. You definitely don't look your age. You're a man after my own heart. I bonded with you straight away. If you're going through some really shit stuff, guys and girls, if you're sat there and you don't think the world would be a better place if you took yourself out of it, you know what I mean? If you're at that place, guys, 214-600-0210 is my personal cell phone number. I want you to text me. Don't text me to say hi. I love you guys, but I'm very, very busy. 5 companies going right now. But if you're in that place, text me, and this is what will happen. I'll arrange with you a 15-minute pep talk that me and you I'll do. Okay, and it'll change your life. If it doesn't, I'll send you $100 for wasting your time. Okay, so I would rather spend 15 minutes of my day talking to you than hear of your death next week. So when people say that in it not for the money, this is why. You've only got to look me up and see who I am. It's crazy. But have I got 15, 20 an hour in any time during my day to help another person? Shit, you bet I have. My feet will always be in the trenches. Doesn't matter what you see online, the riches and all it hanging around with that doesn't mean shit to me. What means shit to me is if you're going to commit suicide, you call me and we get you onto something. That's me paid in fucking full. So do it, guys. Don't Google me first, please. I'm not trying to be egoist. Please don't Google me first. I've had so many people. Well, I Googled you and I thought, no. He won't. Please don't do that. I'm just a guy who's fucking done shit with his life. He's old and can help you. So please text if you're in that place, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, y'all, if you need help, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that offer out there. Somebody's not going to give you their personal cell phone number. So take him up on that. If you need help, he's here to help you. We're here to help you. So, Dr. Robb, I'll absolutely love you for that. That is absolutely amazing. But listen, y'all, I really appreciate you listening to this final episode of this inaugural season. It's been an absolute blessing having Dr. Robb. He is the MF man, and it's been a pleasure. Flex on him.
Flex on him, baby. Let's do this flex.
All right, until next time. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Unshaken, the Hope Dealer podcast, where we turn trauma into truth and pain into power. If you've enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe and keep showing up for your healing. Until next time, stay brave, stay bold, and stay unshaken.